Now, I spent a bit of time tweaking my Android phone, getting things, just how I like it, and also playing around with how it looks. That's one of the things that I love about Android over and above iOS, and if you're watching this video, you probably like doing the same thing. So this is a short video showing you how I've customized my Android phone, which is the Samsung Galaxy S5. So the first thing I've done is replace the launcher. I'm not a big fan of TouchWiz, so I am using currently Apex Launcher. What I like about the launcher is that you can download various skins. In this case, I've made it look like stock Android KitKat. Because that's the great thing about Android is if you don't like the look of something, you can easily change it. But you can't get rid of the manufacturer's custom launcher that easily. I haven't rooted this phone, so I'm still stuck with TouchWiz sort of underneath, but certainly on the surface, it's a lot more bearable. Now, Apex Launcher is on the Google Play Store. There's a free edition, and there's also a pro paid edition as well. But for most purposes, the free edition is pretty much good enough for most people. And it runs extremely well on the S5. I've had no stuttering whatsoever. It's been silky smooth, and I've had no issues at all. The great thing about Apex is that you can pretty much tweak everything that you want to tweak. So if we go into the Apex settings here, you can see if we go into Homescreen settings, you can arrange the grid however you want. You can change the margin, you can scale up icons, you can change scrolling effects. So here I've got none, but I'll switch that to tablet, and you can see almost instantaneously there's a slightly different scroll effect. And you can also sort of tweak icons to your liking as well. So, for example, here I am going to change the phone dialer icon to something else, and it's a very easy thing to do. You just edit on the home screen and select whichever icon pack that you want, which you can download loads of from Google Play, and just pick whatever icon you desire. And for the Samsung Galaxy S5 with TouchWiz and some of their ugly icons, this feature is an absolute godsend. Another thing that's very useful about Apex is that it allows you to use gestures on the home screen. This is a very useful feature for the Galaxy S5 with its sort of above average screen size. And one area where gestures is useful is when trying to swipe down from the notification panel. Now, my hands aren't the biggest, so sometimes, especially one-handed, I struggle or it's a bit awkward to reach the top of the phone to swipe down. So what I've enabled is a simple swipe down anywhere on the home screen to swipe down the notification panel. And on a lot of occasions, this has saved me some, severe thumb gymnastics. Now, one thing I haven't been able to do with Apex is to configure a scroll left to open Google Now like you can on stock Android. So I've set up so that a long press on the home button will launch Google Now, and this is something that you can do within the Samsung menu. And within Apex, I've configured a simple swipe up to launch Google Now as well. Another gesture that I've set up in Apex is to enable a two-fingered swipe up to launch the camera. I find this useful when I can't be bothered to look for the camera icon. I know that I can just use two-finger swipe up and it will launch. Now, to show off the HD display on the S5, I normally download my wallpapers from Zedge. This one's my favourite right now, and it combines the mountain from one of the stock wallpapers from KitKat with a starry background to really show off the resolution of the display. If any of you don't have Zedge, I would really recommend giving it a go. It's free from Google Play, and you can get some really high resolution wallpapers to really make your screen pop. Now, I've opted for a fairly minimal default home screen, but I've got two widgets. The first one here is a clock and weather in text, and the second displays my calendar events. And I set these up using an app called Zooper widget, which is free on Google Play, which I thoroughly recommend you all go and download. And I like the widgets that you can get with Zooper because they're different from the normal ones that you can normally download. And they make great use of sort of graphics combined with text to give you some really punchy widgets. And one widget that I've used before on Zooper is this battery barcode. And it basically equates the battery percentage that you've got remaining as a barcode, which looks aesthetically quite nice on your home screen, and it's sort of typical of the stylish widgets that you can get on Zooper. Now in terms of home screens, I normally stick with 3, and I find that's enough for all the stuff that I need on my home screen. So if I pinch to zoom here, you can see the 3, and I'll go into them in a bit more detail for you. Now my default home screen is normally very empty to show off high resolution wallpapers. And my second home screens are normally my most used apps, separated into useful folders. So I've got a browser folder, learning folder, news, shopping, etc. And you can see my second home screen normally has my Google search widget because, frankly, I don't search for things enough to give it such a prominent place on my default home screen. Now, one app I would recommend for you guys is a calendar, which is a supremely good calendar app. Now, I love how you can actually see your agenda from within a month view, and in this instance, the calendar app is something that I prefer having a third-party version of rather than the stock Android version. You can pick it up for free on Google Play, although there is a paid edition for additional features. So home screen number 3 for me is also very simple. I've got this big Google Keep widget, and for me, Google Keep is such a useful note-taking tool. So useful, in fact, that I need to have the widget on my third home screen. So the second thing I've got on my third home screen is a widget for PowerAmp, which is my preferred Android music player. So there's a free version and there's a paid version on Google Play, and for me it's the best Android music player out there. So those really are my very simple home screens. Let me know in the comment section what yours is like. Another thing that I've changed on the S5 is the dialer. And that really was from necessity because of the ugliness of the TouchWiz default one. So let's open it up, and it's so blocky and not very elegant, which is a shame. For a phone like the S5 to have such an ugly dialer is an absolute travesty. So I've replaced it with a dialer called Swipe Dialer, which brings it a lot closer to the feel of the stock Android dialer, which I'm a big fan of. It's just so much more elegant and good looking compared to the TouchWiz dialer. Unfortunately, I can't get away from TouchWiz because when you do make a call, it switches back to the ugliness that is TouchWiz. And I don't mind too much because, frankly, when I'm making a call, the phone's against my ear anyway. But the dialer I do have to look at, so I prefer something nicer, and Swipe Dialer is my option. When it comes to keyboard, the Google keyboard is my preference. But I wanted to show you guys the Samsung keyboard as well, because actually, in terms of functionality, it's pretty good. So I have to give props to Samsung on this. They've delivered a very, very good keyboard with the S5. It's accurate, the feel is very good, it's got number keys at the top, which is always very useful. And it sounds nice as well. It makes a nice clicky sound when you type, which is, although quite a shallow thing to notice, it does make a difference when you hear it a lot every day. But my preference, as I said earlier, is the Google keyboard. So I tend to use the Google keyboard just a bit more than the standard Samsung one, and that's because I came from a stock Android device. I think it looks really nice, and in terms of accuracy, feel, it is pretty much one of the best keyboards out there. And it's got swipe functionality, which is also useful, but it all comes down to accuracy, and I found the Google keyboard the most accurate of all the ones that I've tried. Now I do have to give a quick mention to another keyboard that I've been trying lately, and this is Minuum keyboard. And you can get it free on Android for a trial period, but I've paid for it because I think it's superb. Now in terms of typing accuracy, it's very good. And one thing I really love is the sound that it makes. It just makes the most excellent typing sound of all the keyboards that I've ever tried. This is definitely an underrated thing of keyboards, but the sound, the plop 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 sound when you type, is strangely addictive. But accuracy and typing sound isn't the sort of defining feature of Minuum. It's this, which is that the keyboard can shrink to a tiny keyboard, like so. And the amazing thing is that you can just sort of type normally. Obviously, you're restricted in terms of real estate, But it's got all the keys, and it's got a great algorithm for trying to predict the word that you're trying to type within such a limited space, and it is remarkably accurate. You know, next time you show your mates that you're typing on a keyboard this size, and I'm guarantee you they'll be amazed. So I'm really looking forward to spending some more time with Minuum, and I know that it's going to get more accurate the more I use it, and it's got the potential to be a very, very good keyboard, and potentially ousting Google Keyboard as my preferred keyboard, the first keyboard to do so since I started using the Google Keyboard a couple of years back. So there's one more thing that I've customized on my Android, and it's the one thing that isn't immediately obvious. It's the lock screen. I use an app called Dynamic Notifications, and so it's not just a lock screen, it's a notification screen as well. And on the Super AMOLED screen of the S5, they really do look superb. So just like with the Moto X, you can sort of tap on the lock icon and drag it to a camera or unlock, and you can configure the lock options as well. So you can have it sort of swipe to dismiss a notification or swipe to open a notification. And one useful thing is that when you turn it around, it sort of automatically shows up as well, which is quite a useful feature. But for me, the killer feature of dynamic notifications is this. So when you take it out your pocket, the app will sense it because of the use of gyroscopes and show you whatever notification you've got. So not only is it beautiful, it's just supremely useful as well. I hope you guys have enjoyed this video and picked up some nice ideas on how to customize your Android. Because for me, my phone is an extension of my identity. I love customizing it and tweaking it to make it look and work exactly how I like. Let me know how you guys have customized your Android below with any great recommendations, and I'll see you guys next time.